Hi everybody, it's Dr. Sasheen, and I do not own the rights to this music. And this is the fault of a friend of mine because she got this song stuck in my head, so now I have to play it. Now I have to play it. So, welcome to let me turn it down now. For those of you who don't know this song, I'm not talking to you because apparently you do not know. But this is the fault of a friend of mine. So if you hear Journey, I do not have rights to this music. That is for certain. But a friend of mine put this on her page on Facebook, and now I have Don't Stop Believin' running around in my head. Sorry. So I'm going to make sure it runs around in your head too, because I think it's only fair. All right, turning it down. Turning it way down. So hey everybody, it's Dr. Sasheen here. I'm in a sweatshirt. It is, I think, 15 degrees in my neck of the woods right now. It's really, really cold. And it's going to get much colder as the night wears on. So normally I'd get all dressed up, but tonight I just want to be cuddly. It's a Friday night. It's 8:30 here on the East Coast, and it's cold. It's real cold. So welcome to those of you who watch this live. Say hello if you come in, drop a comment or an emoji, and just let me know you're hanging out. If you happen to catch the replay, say hello anyway. It's not like I won't get the notification that you're here. But tonight is really about talking about where we are in terms of the energy of the season. So I just closed last night at midnight, the Wheel of the Year Planning webinar that walks you through kind of the 4 points of the year and how you can use that to achieve the goals of the next year. Not even the new year per se, but the next year. And it really goes into, so if I turn that down a little more. Not all the way down. We like this music. Really went into understanding how the seasonal shift is really important and useful for planning your goals for the next year. So that just wrapped up last night. Went into the vault. We'll pull it out again in December, and I'll have another webinar workshop. It's more of a webinar that I will have for sale at the end of the year. So if you missed it, I'm sorry, it is gone. But the good news is you can work with me directly looking at how you can plan yourself still for as midwinter settles in. And that's kind of going to be our first point tonight is where are we in the energy of the year? And for those of you who are joining me, I have a glass of wine, so you should have one too. Okay, so where are we in terms of the energy of the season? Well, we're in what's commonly called midwinter. So we've come through early winter, and now we're into midwinter. And again, if you have the webinar, you know all about this. This is the time when you really want to start thinking about what you want to get going for the year. It's the time where you want to kind of decide who you're going to be in 2019. Midwinter is perfectly placed because we've come out of the franticness of early winter. We're not really ready yet to dive into the energy of late winter, which is when things start to get, it's like we're itchy because we've had enough of winter. We've just had enough of winter. So it's the time where I like to say we can begin to reinvent ourselves. We can decide who we want to be, and then we can go forth and create a plan of attack for how we're going to get to that person, and so that by the time the wheel swings around an entire year later and we come back into midwinter again, we'll be like, wow, look what I accomplished. Like, that was pretty cool. I made this goal in midwinter of last year, 2019, and in 2020 I'm looking around going, I did this. Like, I did this. This is pretty cool. So midwinter is all about this idea of reconnection and reinvigorating and reinventing what you hope to accomplish. Now, let's tackle resolutions for a bit. I've been talking a lot about resolutions because they just don't work. 80% of us have, bailed on our resolutions by the second week in January. By February 1st, almost 100% of people are done with their resolutions. And I said almost, so don't hit me up and say 99%, 98%. Nearly 100% failure rate of resolutions happens by February 1st. And unfortunately, that makes sense. And I've talked about this a lot, how the energy of early winter is just a bad time to set resolutions. There's no teeth to them. There's no oomph to them. There's no emotion attached to them except the fear that you're going to be left behind for another year. Let me just say up front, if you're setting resolutions based on fear, that's why they're failing. That's why they're failing. Let me check and make sure I'm live here. Hang on a second. I'm on my phone and my computer's over here off to the side. Hang on a second here. What's happening? We're not listening to the next song on the playlist. We're checking in with where we are. Yeah, there I am. Okay, great. So as I was saying, this idea of, yeah, if you're in here, say, hey, this idea that, the 100% failure rate, it makes sense because we're afraid. And whenever you come from a place of fear with your goals or your resolutions, you're just not going to achieve them. Let me tell you why. In every single one of us is the inner critic and the inner judge. And every time we make a resolution, we decide on something, and then we decide on something because we're afraid we're not going to get something else, then the energy behind the decision is one of fear. Your inner judge immediately pounces on anything that will align with that fear and won't look at anything that will align with joy, because you're not used to joy. You've made this decision based on being afraid of something. So your inner critic's going to be like, see, you couldn't do that anyway. It's going to consistently get into your head and say the things to you that only reinforce what you were already afraid of happening to begin with. So then you stop doing the things that you said that you were going to do because you're just afraid of failing at it. This is really common. The cycle here is really, really common. And so what I want to encourage people to do is think about, what is the best way for me to get to the goals I really want to achieve, and how do I silence the inner critic at the same time? Because if you can't figure out a way to get around the judge that's in your head, it's really difficult to achieve anything important. And that kind of leads into my second major point, which is the energy of midwinter is about deciding on how you want to reinvent yourself. Like, what is it that you really want to be for the next, we'll say from today, 365 days away? Nobody said that the year had to start on January 1st. That's just a myth that we tell ourselves to make ourselves feel bad in January. I say we stop. Like, you don't have to do that. Where do you want to be 365 days from today? What is it that you want to look like? Where do you want your home to be? Where do you want your life to be? The idea of reinvention in the depths of winter, it makes perfect sense. We are designed to settle down and to think long and hard. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, just know that I know you're like, it's hot, Dr. Sasheen. It's hot. But here I am. It's really cold. But the energy of midwinter or midsummer is very different. So we are settling into midwinter, and it's this idea, right? Like, okay, I've now calmed down enough to decide what to do next. And this is the time frame where a lot of people get into they get a little sad. They get a little emotional, and they can get a little depressed because they're like, well, my resolutions are all buffeted, and I don't really know what to do next. So now what? And this is where you need to think about focus and a plan. And midwinter is the time to not beat yourself up for not having a plan, because now is the time to make that plan. This is why I heavily discourage the resolutions. No one needs to feel guilty by February. Really. No one needs to have devolved into the pit by February. That's just too much, right? It's too crazy. It's too soon. By February, we should be like, okay, so what do I want to accomplish for the next year? Now I've got some time on my hands, and the nights are, yes, in theory, the nights are getting shorter, but they're long. Let's face it. And January has like 973 days in it. But now that we're out of January, we can start thinking about this idea of the light coming back. What is it that I want to accomplish? And so as you think about, the energy of the seasons and where we are in that energy, we're in the kind of place of deciding what's next and reinventing ourselves from our failure at resolutions, which is just silly, but reinventing ourselves into what we're going to become next. So that's kind of the energy of the moment that I wanted to get out there for those people who are following along on how the energy kind of works and where we are in the season. Lots of reinvention is going on in all of our lives. So if you've been following me for a long time, you know that I have kind of meandered through the identity of the metaphysical goddess and the things that have been really important to me, keeping up with the energy of the moment and the transits and the lunar phases in astrology. That's kind of where this all started. And slowly, by degrees, I've been transitioning over into what I actually do, which is being Dr. Sasheen. And my background is in communication. And my background is in understanding how to listen to people and help them, more importantly, listen to and find their own voice. And by finding their own voice, really owning their own lives. So as I swing into midwinter, my goals are very much, they're big. They're big. And I can't really talk about a lot of them because, don't talk about anything that you don't want someone else to criticize. But I did want to talk about one goal, so I'll get to that in a minute. But for me, reinvention is looking at what I've accomplished, deciding if I still want to accomplish that better, or if it's time to move on to the next level. And here's a hint. If your resolutions were safe and easy, they weren't resolutions. They were just, minor accomplishments that you hope to just keep going. A resolution, a goal should scare you a little bit. Should scare you a little bit. Should make you go, woo! Like, if that really happened, I think my whole world would change. That's what a goal should do for you. So like I was saying, this is kind of the time of thinking about reinvention and reinventing yourself and really thinking about where do you want to be 365 days from February the 1st. The answer is hopefully someplace better than you are now. It doesn't even matter where you are. Your life could be fantastic, but hopefully you want to be 365 days older and better than you are in the moment. And the only way to get there is to set goals that make you crazy, make your hair turn gray if you're like me. Don't worry, this will be going away soon. Make your hair turn gray and allow you to grow and expand. So a couple of things that I've set into place for 2019 are I'm in another partnership with amazing women who are helping me grow my new business ideas, and I'm really working more on offerings and ideas and classes and courses and webinars and workshops that will allow you to grow and become the people that you want to be, especially the women that you want to be. It's important for me in 2019 to be 365 days better than I am today. So one of the goals I had in 2018, going backwards, one of the goals that I set through the year was to write a second book. I wrote one book, a short workbook called The Energy Suckers year before last. And I had in my head that I needed to expand on that work and really dig deeper into the ideas behind it. And so I had the second book, and I'm almost done with it. And so now that it's getting close to completion, it's time to start talking about it and getting it out there. But that's a goal that I've worked on for an entire year and really gotten the energy to where I want it to be, and gotten myself to where I want it to be able to step comfortably into talking about what it is that I want to talk about. So part of my background is in communication. It's in interpersonal and relationship communication. And part of that background also includes a minor in psychology. Shocking. And so I've really been fascinated this past year, especially since 2016, with the idea of narcissism, because it's one of the words of the moment. I have a feeling that if Webster and the Oxford English Dictionary would have picked their word of the year last year, it might have been narcissism. I'll have to check on that. So I'm working on an expansion of my first book, and I'm tentatively calling it The Four Faces of Narcissism. And I'm looking at the four, I would like to say, the four kind of classic representations I see of narcissism out in society and what we can do about them. Now, the reason that's part of that's one goal that I'm continuing to roll over and achieve is because that's important to me. I am a relationship person. I think that we find ourselves in relationship with ourselves, but we find our truth in relationship with other people. And so as we pick better people, our truth about ourselves will change. As we pick better people, the truth about our lives will change. And that's really one of the key messages to my new book, which is as you learn to spot the narcissistic behavior in your life, then you will learn to spot that. First, you'll learn to spot it quicker and you'll be able to run away. But you'll also recognize that when you begin to pick better people to hang out with, you will learn a better truth, a new truth, a much more you truth about yourself, because we do have a habit of taking on the tendencies of the people we spend the most time with. And if you're in a relationship with someone who is a classic narcissist in any way, then you're probably taking on some of those traits about yourself, and you've probably not even thought about it. So the book is going on pre-sale on Monday, and I'll be talking about it a lot. But I'm also moving into really helping people get their goals in alignment with their vision of where they would want to be 365 days beyond the moment. And I think it's important to recognize that your year starts when you want it to start. It does not start January 1st. It doesn't have to start the first of anything. It starts when you're ready. And I think that if we can uncouple ourselves from this idea, we talk about this idea of the new year like it's a thing. It's not. The new year for your life is the day you decide to do something different. And that's the day that you decided. So all that to say, that's a lot to say. I'm not going to be on here for long tonight. As we are wrapping up our time in early winter and we're moving into midwinter and we're thinking about reinvention and we're deciding what's next, think about the goals that you really want to set. Think about the goals that you really want to achieve. Decide where you want to be 365 days from the moment that you are currently in, and then make a plan to get there. And I'm going to help you do that. So next week, starting February, what's today, the 1st? Sorry, I'm literally thinking about several hundred things. Starting next week, I'm going to be running a 3-part pop-up series, 3 days of live next week. So you won't see me every day, but you'll see me 3 days next week. And I'm going to talk about the 3 reasons why you're sabotaging your success. 3 clear reasons why not only are your resolutions falling flat, but you can't seem to stick to a goal to save your life. Like, you just can't seem to make it work. I'm going to talk about 3 reasons. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week, I'm going to be talking about where people are most likely to sabotage themselves in the pursuit of the goals of their life. And I'm not talking about the goal of just getting out of bed in the morning. I'm talking about the goals that you set for yourself every year that for some reason by about March or April, you're like, man, I don't know why this is so hard for me. Why am I not getting to this goal? What's the problem? We're going to talk about where you need to be thinking about focusing. We're going to talk about what kind of plan you have in place. And we're going to talk briefly about why your inner world, your inner dialogue is literally sabotaging your outer results. Because that is actually what's happening to a lot of people. And there is a way to change that, but it takes a desire to want to change. Okay, so next week, pop-up series, gonna be fantastic. You'll see it out on the Facebook page and you'll be able to sign up to attend and to get alerts that I'm going live. But so next week, we're gonna be talking about the 3 reasons why you are sabotaging your success / goals and how to stop doing that. The new book is coming out, so you'll see a banner for that up on the page as well. Pre-orders will start for that on Monday. It's a big February. Like, February is not about, for me, it's not about resting back. It's about reinventing myself for the rest of the year. Because you know what? Spring is closer than you think. And when we hit the shift point of spring, a different kind of energy comes into play, and I want to be ready to ride that wave to the next thing, and I want you to be ready to ride that wave to the next thing. So hopefully, in conclusion, hopefully you get a chance to pop in on the pop-up series next week and learn about the 3 reasons why you are why you are literally sabotaging yourself, sabotaging your success, and why you want to think about doing things differently. If you have spent the past 5 years, 3 years, 2 years getting the pretty planners with all the pretty pens and all the pretty stickers, and by the middle of the year that planner is collecting dust on your desk, and you're like, I'm whatever, I had a goal, it's over there in the planner, do you want to read it? If that's been you at all, this is for you. If you have reached a place where you're like, I've achieved some really great things, but I don't really know what to do next, so I'm just gonna tread water, then this is for you. If you've reached a place, or if you've ever had a desire that you got so scared of because it was so big and you told somebody and they shot you down, so you thought, I'm just going to tuck it away till I'm like 10 years older, or I can move out of this place, or whatever the case may be. If you've tucked away a dream, if you've tucked away a want or a desire, then this is also for you. The pop-up series is really about why you've got to stop sabotaging your own success, because you ultimately are the reason that you're either going up or you're going down. But I'll talk about that more next week. Okay, so have a great evening. I'm still playing music in the background. Thank you to the person who had me literally playing Don't Stop Believing. This is her fault. I'm not going to call her out by name because that wouldn't be very nice, but she knows who she is. I'm going to play it again. So we turn up again as we leave, as we float out. We're going to float out to the same song we floated into, which is Don't Stop Believing by Journey, because I think that's really important and a great way to look at 2019. You cannot give up on the things that would make you so happy and so darn excited to get up every single morning if you could just figure out how to achieve them. I can help you do that. I can help you figure out who and where you want to be, and I can help you figure out a plan to get there, and it's just that simple. And I can tell you that it's the judge in your head that is disconnecting you from the fire in your belly to get things done. We got to shut that judge up. We can do that too. All right, everyone, have a fantastic night. Again, look for the pop-up series event and please RSVP so I'll know that you're going to be there and you can get those alerts letting you know that I am in fact going to be going live. All right, this is Dr. Sasheen. Good night, everyone. Have a happy Friday. Bye.